Shadows, the horror movie heroes by Clouds, My Head in the Clouds Not Coming Down. Summary: Izuku Midoriya and Hitoshi Shinso are never going to be the kind of heroes that make civilians think, "Oh, thank God we're saved," when they arrive at the scene. There's too much prejudice against them, so a kid with a villain quirk and one with no quirk at all are never going to be able to inspire that sort of trust. So instead of becoming heroes that bring hope, they decide to become the next best thing, the kind of heroes that make villains think, "Oh fuck, we're screwed." Hitoshi reapplied the bandages from a few days ago. Even though the cuts were almost healed by now, his bullies had laid off him for the moment, too scared that his mysterious backup would pop out of the shadows at any moment. Hitoshi knew better than to expect that to last forever, especially once they figured out that the guy they were so afraid of was actually just a quirkless kid from another school who had his own bullies to worry about. Still, the break was nice while it lasted. Hitoshi stretched and climbed into bed to browse his phone until he felt tired enough to sleep. His foster parents didn't really care what he did when he had insomnia, as long as he was quiet and didn't leave his room. But then again, the quiet rule had been pretty much constant since he turned 4, so it wasn't that bad. At least he didn't have to worry about sharing a room, even if it stung a little that the other kids would rather let him have the attic to himself rather than share a room with the villain. Once his current fosters realized the roommate wasn't going to work, they cleaned out the tiny spaces of the garage and shoved him there to make room for the other kids. Half the walls were bare plywood, and it was miserably hot in the summer, but Hitoshi couldn't complain. At least he had a window in the roof so he could watch the stars when he inevitably got bored of his phone. It was cloudy tonight, but he glanced up anyway to see what constellations were out. Then promptly scrambled out of bed, barely stifling a scream as he glimpsed a shadow, a human-shaped shadow, peering through his window. Hitoshi was half convinced he'd imagined it, until the shadow knocked. Hitoshi seriously considered just making a run for his life. Never mind what his foster parents would say before stealing his courage and reaching for his phone. He turned on the flashlight and shone it toward the window. It was probably nothing, right? Just a raccoon or maybe a tree branch, even though there weren't any trees near his window. Still, there was no point in getting in trouble for a false alarm. When he saw that it was a kid from the alley, Hitoshi could only blink in bewilderment. The kid gave him a bright smile as he waved. Through his window, on his roof. "What the?" Hitoshi breathed. "Hi, Shinso!" The kid's voice was slightly muffled through the glass. "Let me in!" Hitoshi's curiosity won out over his intelligence, and before he knew it, he'd reached out and unlatched the window. The kid tumbled onto his bed with a quiet thump and ruffled his curls, which did absolutely nothing to make them more presentable. Before looking up, "Thanks! I'm Izuku Midoriya, by the way. I don't think I ever got around to mentioning that the other day." "I thought I told you to go away," Hitoshi said blankly. "Oh, you did?" Midoriya nodded agreeably. "You have a really, really cool quirk, by the way. You're going to be able to do so many awesome things with it." "So why are you here?" Hitoshi could feel a migraine coming on. "Actually, back up. How are you here? I didn't even tell you my name." "Oh, well, Midoriya looked almost embarrassed. "I actually started with your uniform." "My uniform?" Hitoshi did a double take. "Wait, started?" Midoriya nodded. "Well, I know there's a lot of schools that use the same uniform, so I looked at what time they ended and crossed off the ones that weren't within walking distance of where we met. Then I skimmed through the websites of the ones left, because at least at my school, the bullies are the ones with the strongest quirks and end up getting featured a lot. So I figured I might be able to find one of yours. Once I'd found your school, I dug a little deeper and figured out it's your last year too. But I couldn't find what class you were in or what your name was, so I kind of just asked around about a kid with a verbal activation quirk, threw out 90% of the rumors, figured out what your name was, and used that to find you." Hitoshi stared at Midoriya, who was looking at him expectantly. "That's kinda creepy." To his surprise, Midoriya grinned. "I know, isn't it great?" Hitoshi raised an eyebrow. "No?" "Okay, well, not traditionally, but," Midoriya bit his lip, "you want to be a hero, right?" Hitoshi nodded hesitantly. "I'm going to go to UA. Are you here to stop me?" "No!" Midoriya clapped a hand over his mouth as he realized how loud he'd been. No, I actually want to be a hero too, so I was kind of hoping we could help each other. And maybe be like hero partners, because, well..." Hitoshi gestured for him to continue. "Because what? Because you think hanging around the villain will make you less of a target?" "No." Midoriya puffed his cheeks out in frustration. "It's just, let's face it, neither of us is ever going to be the kind of hero that brings people hope. Kids like us can't be heroes like All Might." Maybe you can, Hitoshi snarled, but I'm going to prove them all wrong and be... Midoriya waved his hands frantically. No, we can't be heroes like All Might, but we can be different. You've seen how much prejudice there is. You've got a villain quirk, Shinso, and I'm quirkless. Even if a few of the more open-minded civilians decide to trust us, there's still going to be a lot of people who are never going to be willing to see past our quirks. Hitoshi huffed. Ouch. Okay, great pep talk. Real inspiring. Let me finish, Midoriya said. We might not be the kind of heroes that can make civilians think, oh, thank God, we're saved when we arrive at the scene. So what if instead, we become the kind of heroes that make villains think, oh, fuck, we're screwed? Midoriya's expression had morphed into a sly smile, but Hitoshi hung back. What exactly are you suggesting? I'm saying that we don't have to bring hope if we can weaponize fear. People are already afraid of you, Midoriya said, and they're either freaked out by me or think I'm weak. I think we can use that to our advantage. We're never going to be very popular, but we can still save people. Hitoshi was silent for a long moment. You're insane. Midoriya's face fell, but Hitoshi was too busy thinking about everything he just heard to comfort him. Fear tactics were normally associated with villains, but so was brainwashing. Not to mention that fear had been just enough to keep his bullies off his back for a few days. So yeah, Midoriya's idea was crazy, but oddly enough, it was so crazy that it just might work. Plus, it wasn't like he had literally anything else going for him. Okay, sure. I'm down. Let's do it, Hitoshi said, finally making Midoriya do a double take. But that still doesn't explain what you're doing in my house in the middle of the night. Do you know how much trouble I could get in if my foster parents caught you? I was going to wait until tomorrow and find you after school, Midoriya insisted, blushing. But, I got too excited. He at least had the good grace to look sheepish, and in spite of himself, Hitoshi smiled and shook his head. Yep, you're insane. Midoriya grinned hesitantly. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Hello, my bumblebees. It's Teddy BB Bear here, and that wraps up Chapter 2 of Shadows, the horror movie Heroes by Clouds. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all enjoyed this wonderful story. This podfic is brought to you as a Project Cyclone production. More info about other projects we've worked on in the description, as well as links to our website and Instagram. If you want to support Project Cyclone and all our future productions, please consider joining our Patreon or sharing our content through word of mouth. We really appreciate your support, and it makes it possible for me and my friends behind the scenes to keep making content for you guys. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you may be listening to us. Sweet dreams and a restful hibernation to you all. Bye-bye.